David, for that little nudge. Hello, everyone. I am John Sarduy, and I work with the Office of Management and Budget, and I'll be your moderator for today. David Kauffelter, the county's interim budget director, will be providing you information about the fiscal year 21-22 budget development process. After this presentation, we'll be opening up the meeting for you to ask your questions and, of course, more importantly, for you to provide your input to this process. We will do our best to answer all your questions today. However, if we cannot, then your questions will be forwarded to the appropriate county staff for a response. We will use the registration information that you entered for your contact to contact you back on any questions or concerns. Want to let you guys also know that we have staff on hand taking notes, and this meeting is being recorded to assist us with documenting the public's input and priorities that need to be set for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. With that, I want to introduce and begin the presentation with David Kauffelter. David?
So it appears there's no sound.
Yeah.
I can read through the presentation if we need to.
Hold on a second, David. Give me 1 second, sorry. We're working on the sound issue right now. Give me 1 second, I apologize. Do you hear it? Hello?
No,
Can you hear it?
we still don't hear the sound.
No sound.
Fernando, I'm gonna play from here. Sorry guys, give me 1 second, I apologize for the delay. Here we go. Oh, that's the connection. Oh, shoot. Fuck me. Give me 1 second. Do not read. Just give me 1 second. Shoot, I apologize.
Mute, please.
Oh, apologize.
Jose, if you're playing it, there's no sound coming through.
There's no sound coming through. Hold on.
Okay, Jose, let's do this. I'll read through the presentation. Okay? If you can just change the slides for me, how about that? I'll start. Let me know when you have the first slide up, and I'll go ahead and start. We apologize, folks, for the technical difficulties, and we'll get going here in just a second.
David, go ahead. I'm having a difficulty with the video.
Okay, just catch up with the slide. Okay, so hello. Thank you for participating tonight. My name is David Clotfelter, and I'm the Interim Budget Director for Miami-Dade County. Thank you for attending this public budget meeting. It's a town hall, and we'll be discussing the budget development process and basically where we are in that process. Today, I'll be talking you through the county's next page. So, some of the topics that I will cover today are results-oriented governing, the budget development process, budget development timeline, the county's current year budget, the adopted budget book, and the county-wide civic engagement initiative, Thrive 305. Now, before we dive into the county's budget, I think it's important to describe how the county is managed. Budgeting is only part of how the county delivers service. As we develop our budget, we need to know what services are important to residents and check to see if we are delivering what we said we would. So to make it all work, we use what we call a results-oriented government framework. The framework has three major components to it. First, we conduct strategic planning. This is a detailed process that helps us identify what is most important to our residents and visitors. It's long-term and gives us the overall direction in service areas such as transportation, human services, libraries and parks, public safety, and many more. Second, every year, departments prepare their budget plans and budgets. These show us how they support the priorities in the strategic plan and help make sure that we are all focused on delivering services in demand by our residents. Third, we all monitor our performance in an ongoing manner. This helps identify needed adjustments we need to make sure we are delivering on our promises. And over time, as new challenges arise and priorities emerge, they become incorporated in future strategic planning efforts. The strategic plan. The county's strategic plan is a high-level document that lays out our service delivery priorities as defined by our customers. Miami-Dade County's residents, it is what helps us achieve our mission of delivering excellent public services that address our community's needs and enhance our quality of life, now and in the future. It contains nearly 70 far-reaching goals and objectives that address priorities needs across several different service areas, what we call strategic areas. Currently, the strategic areas are transportation and mobility, economic development, health and society, recreation and culture, neighborhood and infrastructure, public safety, and general government. We organize our budget books and other documents using these strategic areas. To give you a sense of what is in the plan, here are some sample strategic plan objectives. Provide reliable, accessible, and affordable transit service. ensure an inclusive and diverse workforce, promote livable and beautiful neighborhoods, and provide world-class airport and seaport facilities. Some of the departments that make up the major services are as follows. Transportation and mobility includes our Department of Transit and Public Works. Economic development includes our airport and seaport. Health and society includes public housing and the homeless trust. Recreation and culture includes park, libraries, and cultural affairs. Neighborhood and infrastructure includes water and sewer, solid waste, and animal services. Public safety includes police and fire and corrections. General government includes supporting departments such as elections, information technology, finance, and the Inspector General. And for more information on the strategic plan, please visit miamidade.gov/strategic plan. The budget development process. When we begin to prepare the budget, the first thing we look at is how the current year's revenues are materializing and how the department's spending patterns are to estimate how much revenue will be left over at the end of the year. When we estimate what our revenues will be in the next year and what our current service level will cost. Based on the revenues available, we make recommendations as to what adjustments, if required, would need to occur so that we have a balanced budget to present to the Board of County Commissioners. Through this process, we ensure that the budget being developed is in alignment with the county strategic plan. This year, we are reaching out earlier to ensure we hear from our residents as we formulate our next year's budget. The process timeline. As I previously mentioned, the budget process begins with estimating the revenues and expenses for the next year. Starting in January, the departments begin to formulate their respective budgets, which are due in March. Also in March, the mayor provides her budget priorities to the community. After the mayor's address, our office continues to work with departments, going through their budget submissions and finalizing the request. In July, the mayor will release her proposed budget. Also in July, the Board of County Commissioners will adopt the maximum millage rates for the county. The board cannot adopt a higher millage rate than what was set in July. In August, the property appraiser provides notices to all property owners on what their tax bill will be if the board adopts the maximum millage rate. In addition, the county schedules additional community meetings to discuss the proposed budget. In September, the Board of County Commissioners holds 2 budget hearings, both of which are public hearings. The board adopts the budget at the final meeting in September. The new budget then takes effect October 1st. Next slide. Your dollar at work. Out of every dollar the county receives, this is how it is directed to services. Public safety receives 31 cents. Neighborhood and infrastructure receives 21 cents. Economic development, 14. Health and society, 11. Recreation and culture, 8. Transportation and mobility, 7 cents. General government, also 7 cents. And policy and administration receives 1. As noted earlier, some of the departments that make up these major services are as follows. Transportation and mobility include the Transportation Public Works Department, Economic Development, Airport and Seaport, Health and Society, Housing and Homeless Trust, Recreation and Culture, Parks, Libraries, and Cultural Affairs. Neighborhood and infrastructure include water and sewer, solid waste, and animal services. Public safety, police, fire, and corrections. General government, those are the supporting departments such as elections, information technology, finance, inspector general, and the Office of Management and Budget. Next slide. The county's total budget is $9 billion. Over 1/3 is restricted to capital expenses and cannot be used for operating program and/or services. Operating funds pay for day-to-day activities, and capital funds pay for multi-year projects such as construction of facilities and/or public improvements. Of the $5.7 billion operating budget, over half is restricted to self-supporting business enterprise services, which we call proprietary. Proprietary activities are fee-based activities which are collected separately from the user of the service. Some of the proprietary departments consist of water and sewer, solid waste, aviation, and seaport. The revenues that these departments generate are restricted for use within those departments. For example, we can't use water and sewer revenues to pay for parks. The remaining $2.7 billion is tax supported. Tax supported refers to activities paid by taxes regardless of the person's use of the service, such as parks and police services. Tax-supported operations include the following jurisdictions. Countywide represents $1.722 billion. That consists of $1.4 in property taxes, $284 million in other revenues. The unincorporated area represents $514 million. That consists of $160 million in property taxes, and $354 million in other revenues. Fire district consists of $418 million, and the library district represents $79. Next slide. The general fund operating budget. As noted earlier, of the $9 billion total budget, $2.240 billion is supported by the general fund. The general fund is what we refer to as the accounting fund supported by ad valorem property taxes, license and permits, service charges, and other general revenues to provide countywide and unincorporated area operating services. Out of the services funded through the general fund, a majority are mandated by either federal, state, or local laws and agreements, or fund vital services to our community, such as police services, elections, medical examiner, etc. As noted in the pie chart, of the $2.2 billion in general fund expenses, approximately $2 billion is considered less flexible funding. These include services such as police and fire, debt service payments, payments to the county that the county must make to fund court services, funding the county's Jackson Hospital, funding our transportation system, etc. The more flexible funding consists of services that are not mandated by the state or federal government or required by contract or agreements, such as park services, funding community-based organizations, general government services such as human resources, etc. It is not to say that the services provided with the more flexible funding are not necessary or important. They provide important support roles to the county departments and or other vital community organizations. Next slide. The capital budget. The county's, next slide, Jose. The county's capital budget for fiscal year 2021 totals $3.335 billion and includes 496 capital programs countywide. A majority of these projects require years of planning and construction, while others may be completed in a shorter time frame. The slides provide a breakdown of our capital program by strategic area. Examples of some capital programs include our public safety strategic area includes projects to construct new fire rescue stations. Police department projects include various infrastructure improvements at the Miami-Dade Public Safety Training Institute, where our officers train. The Transportation and Mobility Strategic Area includes projects for our Transit and Public Works Department to develop park and ride stations to expand transit connectivity for residents throughout Miami-Dade County, and road resurfacing, bridge rehabilitation, and drainage improvements, and other projects that are included in the SMART plan. The Recreation and Culture Strategic Area includes projects for the library system to construct new libraries such as Hialeah Gardens Library and the renovation of existing libraries. Projects in the Parks, Recreation and Open Spaces Department include ADA improvements to access parks, refurbishment of park facilities, and the development of various greenway and trails to improve connectivity throughout Miami-Dade County. Neighborhood and Infrastructure Strategic Area includes projects for our Water and Sewer Department that updates the water and sewer infrastructure for today and the future. Health and Society, the Homeless Trust is constructing a second domestic violence shelter. Economic Development includes projects for more connectivity to the port. The Regulatory and Economic Resources Department projects include Biscayne Bay restoration and shoreline stabilization to restore, enhance, and stabilize wetlands, shorelines, and islands adjacent to Biscayne Bay, as well as the purchase of endangered lands for conservation. And last but not least, the General Government Strategic Area includes projects for the Information Technology Department to purchase computer-aided dispatch systems to replace the existing computer-aided dispatch for both fire and police. Projects in the Internal Service Department include the construction of a new North Dade Government Center to provide more access to government services to residents in the north section of the county. Next slide. Each year we publish our budget books that include the adopted budget. The books are also organized into these major service areas with departmental details. Within each service area, the departments have narratives that describe the services they provide along with the revenue sources, expenses, personnel counts, and performance measures. Additionally, the budget ordinances approved by the board in September are also included. Next slide. To jumpstart the budget process this year, the county is interested in hearing more from you. In conjunction with the Miami Foundation, Mayor Levine Cava has launched Thrive 305 this month. Thrive 305 is a countywide civic engagement initiative that will leverage Miami-Dade's biggest asset, its residents, through a survey and series of virtual workshops to inform the administration's action plan. This is a bottom-up community-driven policy framework that will center on an equitable recovery and laying the groundwork for a thriving community. Thrive 305 activities include a county-wide resident survey that is now open through the end of the day on Friday, February 26th. This survey seeks input on a wide array of services, and your participation is encouraged. During the month of March, the initiative will host civic weekends, which will be town hall style virtual events to discuss the survey data and recommend ideas for the action plan. Then in April, the Thrive 305 initiative will hold action plan workshops for community leaders and policy experts to collaborate with county staff to develop recommendations for the action plan. For more information about 305 initiative, please, and participate in the survey, please visit miamidade.gov/305. Thank you for attending this workshop. Please visit our website at miamidade.gov/budget for more information on our budget. Now I will turn the meeting over to the moderator, John Sardui, that will take your questions and or hear your comments. Thank you again for participating, and we're ready to listen to your questions and comments, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Thank you, David, for that presentation. I want to, I guess, to public, just apologize for that technical issues that we had earlier. Luckily for us, we were able to do the presentation. With that said, I want to start now. Probably the most important part of this meeting is, of course, getting your questions and your inputs into the budget process for next year. I do want to note for those folks online, to ensure that everyone gets equal access or ability to participate. We are limiting the time that each speaker has to 1 minute, so that we can make sure everyone gets again the same amount of access to this process. Along with that, I just want to say we appreciate your understanding and cooperation with this request. And with that, let me start the meeting itself. Let's start with Wolfgang Bedoy. Please unmute your mic and speak. Wolfgang Beboy, if you could please unmute your mic and speak. Okay, looks like Wolfgang may be not available right now. We'll come back to him later. Hold on.
I'm right here. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I just want to worry about the transit, because every time the buses is getting so full and the people waiting for too long. Also, the city between 9th and 35th Street is all dirty. Dirty. All the streets are dirty. Mud, gloves, people eating. It's terrible. So I want to know to take care about it, because everything is so dirty.
Okay, Wolfgang, thank you for providing your comments. Your comments related to traffic and I guess congestion and the overall. That will be answered by my director, David Clodfelter. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for your comments, Wolfgang. We will take note of that and discuss that with Department of Transportation Public Works. And from what I hear, it was a comment related to service and or cleanliness. So we will discuss that with them and get back to you based on the information that you registered with. So someone will follow up with you. Thank you so much for your comment. And for those other speakers, please state your name and address before you have a question or comment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, David. The next speaker, Nathan Moray, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hello, yeah, my name is Nathaniel Moreau, zip code 33015. Last year during the budget hearings, over 200 people called in to raise their voice about what they wanted to see about their county budget, specifically reduction to the police budget and investment in things like sobering centers and the homeless trust, different things like that. How much consideration is that being given in this year's budget? I know that there's the survey that's available until Friday to be able to take, but in lieu of the people that have already expressed their voice last year, what consideration are those requests being given in this year's budget?
Nathaniel, the reason we're having these meetings is, of course, to solicit the input from the public. So all those requests that were made, that are being made now, are like I noted before. We are taking note. They're being taken into consideration. They will be provided to the mayor, and as we develop the budget, the mayor's budget, and get it ready for its proposal, those requests, that input that we're now soliciting from the public, and again through the Thrive 305 initiative, we will definitely take those into account, and they will be properly given their consideration. Okay, next speaker, I have Zalema Adrifris. Zalema Adrifris, please unmute your mic and please state your name and address for the record.
Hi everyone, my name is Zalema Adrifris and I'm at 1236 Drexel Avenue in Miami Beach. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, I have a few questions, so I would love to know if there's an email we can like ask these two. But I was wondering how much of a deficit the county expects this year due to COVID. I was also wondering, when the county buys things like vehicles in particular, are they taking into account or have some policy to make sure those are like hybrid and electric vehicles to meet our climate action goals? And lastly, I was wondering, I guess I want to advocate based off of what Nathaniel said, for more social services and affordable housing funding in the budget, and doing what we can to move those adjustable funds from police and corrections and towards some of those solutions that address some of the root causes of crime. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, you bring up some very good points. As far as addressing some of the, like I answered to Nathaniel, we're taking into consideration all the requests, and we will make sure that information regarding, that you included, affordable housing, social services, that will also be included. And along with that, David has some further information he wants to add as well. Go ahead, David.
Thank you for the questions. I think there was 3 parts to that, but to answer the question regarding fleet, yes, there is a process that is actually being enhanced regarding the vehicles. The Office of Resiliency is putting together basically what the mayor has outlined, and she has underlined additional resilient initiatives, and the office is taking the lead. The Office of Resiliency is taking the lead on that. It includes vehicles, other major capital projects, and other initiatives that she will be releasing not only separately, but it should be included in the proposed budget. And that's being finalized over the past couple weeks. But thank you for your comments and questions, and we hope that you'll fill out the survey and include those into the Drive 305 survey.
Okay, right now I just have one person with their hands up. If anyone else from the public wants to participate, feel free to use the raise hands so that I could call you to speak. So the first person I have, Joseph Morelli. Morelli, please unmute your mic and please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joseph Miarelli, 8481 Southwest 142nd Street, Palmetto Bay, Florida 33158. I have a couple questions. Just it must be a real challenge to manage such a huge budget. Thank you for this phone call. I'd like to ask just a simple question of where I can find, but first I'd like to state that there was a resolution passed by the Dade County Board, file number 210164, in regards to construction of a bridge extension Southwest 87th Avenue to Southwest 164th Street. $3.1 million of excessive spending, which is completely unnecessary and unwanted by the community. And my question is, how do I find the budget that is being used for that? I'm being advised that the budgets are in the 2021 budget, and I don't know where to find it. Specifically, the impact fee budgets and reallocation of impact fee budgets. And
Hello, Joseph. We lost you, I think. Joseph, I don't know, I guess you got cut off or something happened to the audio. You were talking about a project with a reso. All the projects, capital projects that are under the Department of Transportation and Public Works can be found in the budget book. The budget book, as in the presentation, can be found on the Miami-Dade.gov/budget. There is the volume 3 in volume 2 is where the Transportation and Public Works budget is, and you could find that information there. I don't know if you have it. If I could get you back to, because you said you had a 2-part question, we'll try to get you back on.
okay, thank you. Yes, it was that budget, and then there was another budget line item where it's being taken from, which is the county code. Okay. Well, okay. I'm just having I guess as I search through your budget, I have a hard time actually finding anything. And so is there a good way to navigate through the budget to find where these allocations are?
What I could do is, after this meeting, like I said, we do have your contact information. And what we could do is reach out to you or have a staff reach out to you, okay, and walk you through how the budget book is laid out and where you can find that particular project within our budget.
Okay, and the woman asked earlier, and I didn't get the response, how has the pandemic affected the 21 budget? Are we seeing deficits and shortfalls due to the pandemic?
I'll let my director address that question. David?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Regarding the project that you mentioned, if I remember correctly, on 87th Avenue, this project was created by resolution that was not initially, it wasn't included in the adopted budget. But you're also going to see, and whoever calls and to walk you through this too, but in the budget in book 1, you're going to see some self-supporting ordinances. And the road impact fee ordinance basically outlines the revenue and expenditures and available revenues in, if it's in reserves, that would be funding this project that was basically approved after the adopted budget was approved. So if you're looking for the particular project that with the name and the description, you will not see it in the adopted budget, but the funding itself is outlined in the schedule. And the second part to the question, we are still working on how it has affected our current adopted budget. We've basically put things in place to minimize the impact. We've done things that we can do, that the mayor has the ability to do, such as prioritize expenditures and basically make sure that we are not, without cutting service, of course, but we are still basically figuring out how is it impacting the budget. And we're eagerly awaiting, of course, any federal assistance that we may get from the feds, from the federal government that's making its way currently through Congress. But in anticipation for that, we're making any necessary adjustments that we can and that don't directly affect service, as our priorities have basically shifted over the past few months from doing what we budgeted for to doing pandemic-related activities where necessary. But thank you for your questions.
Okay. Again, just to remind the speakers, please limit your comments to 1 minute so that we could make sure that everyone has, again, equal participation in this meeting. Next speaker is Veronica Martin. Veronica Martin, please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. Please.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Veronica Martin. I live on Milan Ave in Coral Gables, zip code 33134. And I volunteer with a wildlife rehabilitator. And I wanted to address the issue of our vulnerable four-legged community members, specifically the need for a county department or a budget for wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. No one is actually addressing that need right now. Fish and Wildlife don't pick up animals, rescue them, or rehabilitate wildlife. That leaves 3 private wildlife rehabilitators in the entire county to address hundreds of calls every week, often using their own resources and always leaving unmet needs that result in the unnecessary suffering and death of the animals. So I'm advocating for funding to support wildlife rescue and rehabilitation as an important step in helping our community members who report suffering animals and also helping us as a county to be more humane. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, for that request. We will, again, take that under consideration and provide that as part of our notes and record for the next year's budget development process. Next, please, Devin Marsh. Devin Marsh, please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record. Devin Marsh.
Hi, I'm Devin Marsh, 160 Northeast, 121st Street, North Miami, 33161. I'm the Executive Director of the After School Film Institute, a nonprofit dedicated to mentoring at-risk students and families in underserved communities throughout Miami-Dade County. And I'm here to speak in support of youth education and the Arts Initiative. I'm here today to acknowledge the incredible work our staff and its supporters have done, being one of the few resources available to at-risk students and underserved families throughout these tough times, and to voice our need for continued support from the county and the commissioners who make our program possible with crucial funding provided through CBO grants. This, for us, is funding which keeps our doors open. It keeps employing people in underserved communities to service kids and families from those same communities. So please continue to support the Youth Education and Arts Initiative. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Devin, for those comments and your request. Like I said to the public before, not only are we taking input from the public in this meeting itself, remember the Thrive 305 initiative, the survey is still open, and they are the upcoming civic workshops that are being planned out as another resource to place your input into the next year's budget development process. Okay, the next speaker is Geneva Klaus. Geneva Klaus, please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Geneva Claus. Hi, my name's Geneva Claus, and my address is 2001 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida, 33137. So I just want to start by advocating for more funding for social services, like others have said, including rent relief, halting evictions, and pushing our county towards participatory budgeting processes. And a couple questions that I have for you all tonight are, how is the county holding themselves responsible to the public's input? I understand that we have the survey and that there's going to be community leaders going forward, but what happens after that process and what kind of communication is the county going to be putting out? Are there any other opportunities down the line for us to participate? And also, how are the county leaders that are going to be part of the discussion and process being identified?
Thank you, Geneva. Good questions. What I would say is, as far as the next 4 steps after this initial process of soliciting and getting the participation of the public on the next year's budget process, as a kind of outlined in the presentation, the next step is putting together the mayor's proposed budget. We are currently working on that process and that development, which will culminate in the eventual proposed budget book that has to be basically submitted to the Board of County Commissioners by July 15th. So that will be the kind of the next major milestone after we finalize that. Once the mayor proposed budget gets finalized or submitted to the Board of County Commissioners, as far as additional participation or public input into this process, there is a millage setting meeting that happens in July where we set the maximum millage, and then after that there is what we call the public August budget meetings that are in our ordinances, where we go out in August after the proposed budget is set up, where we talk about proposed fee increases and the budget itself. And then it all culminates or basically finishes in September by state statutes. The county and all local governments have to do 2 public meetings, budget meetings. The first one's going to be on September 14th at 5:01, where folks are invited to come and participate as guaranteed by the state and by the laws that we have that are govern us. The second opportunity and the final budget meeting is on September 28th. Again, that meeting starts at 5:01, and again, that will be the final, basically, opportunity for public participation in this process for the budget. All right, the next speaker I have, David, if you want to please go ahead.
There was a comment regarding rental assistance, and I just wanted to point out the county did receive an additional allocation of about approximately $60 million for rental assistance. That program is being managed by the Public Housing Department. It's called ERAP. If you go to Miami-Dade.gov, there's a link for the COVID-19 programs, including the rental assistance program. And this is the second version of the rental assistance program. So you can go on there, and there's information that you'll be provided on how you can apply, and the rules of the program, and also some contact information. So wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you, David. The next participant, I have Nilda Jean Baptiste Pelot. Please unmute your mic, state your name and your address for the record. Nilda.
Hi, I'm Nelly Lestel Jean-Baptiste Payot, and I live in 15950 Southwest 101 Terrace. I also wanted to reiterate housing assistance, but not as a point of people who require rent relief, although very important. We also have a lot of houseless and increased amount of houseless folks on the street. And in fact, I know that there is, and I heard mention of the budget allocating for a new shelter for domestic violence victims, but a lot of these humans that are now houseless seem to have been swept in the past week twice. And when I say sweeps, that means that they have been removed for reasons of, I understood it was a reason of construction or some other reason, and a lot of them had to leave their stuff, their wheelchairs left behind. I saw this firsthand. Really.
Okay, Nilda, I'm sorry, your time was up. You were talking about homeless relief in a situation. We will definitely reach out to you and find out more details of that, and we'll have county staff talk to you about it. Next participant, Jeanette Ruiz. Jeanette Ruiz, please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you so much. My name is Jeanette Ruiz. My address is 7449 Northwest 168th Street, which is an unincorporated day 33015. With Miami being ground zero for climate change, I have become very passionate about community preparedness, and I'm currently enrolled in the CERT program. And I was just wondering if there are plans to build this program out, more advertising, more community outreach, to offer them in different cities and to make them more accessible, as well as offering them in Haitian Creole. I understand that this program is through FEMA, but could there be something that we could work on in terms of expanding this program? Because I think we definitely need to prepare ourselves for the future with climate change.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. I would say that this is why we're here, to get these feedback from the input from the community. Yes, we will take into consideration possible enhancements or possible additional funding for the CERT program, and we will include that as part of our budget process deliberations. Thank you. Next, I have Laverne Spicer. Laverne Spicer, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Ruben Young. I'm a volunteer with Curly House, located at 6025 Northwest 6th Court, where Laverne Spicer is the executive director. My question is, will the budget consider any fundings for small inner city businesses as well as local food banks within the Liberty City area? In addition, I want to know, will there be any emergency relief food funding to assist struggling inner city communities with the purchase of food, as Curry House has been for the last 25 years, doing as much as they can to ensure that inner cities and as well as other various spots throughout this county receive the type of food relief, especially now that we're in a pandemic. So we want to put that question of relief before the commission as they begin this budget process, without these funds being given at inner city communities exclusion in this process. So just want to know that question.
Thank you. I would say that we do have community-based organization funding definitely in this year's budget, and I anticipate that will continue into next year's budget. As far as enhancing and providing additional resources or funding to expand food programs or CBO funding, that is why we're here again, and we will definitely take that up into our formulation of next year's budget development. Thank you for your input and participation. Next, I have Yanelis Valdez. Yanelis Valdez, please unmute your mic and speak. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Yanelis Valdez. I'm at 1600 Northeast First Avenue, Miami, Florida 33132. Thank you for putting this together. I really appreciate the presentation and the information about the civic weekends and the April workshop. And I'm curious to hear about what the outreach efforts will look like for that, to bring in as many community members as possible into the fold. I know you mentioned that it'll help inform some of the budgeting work, but I also wonder if there will be other opportunities for more input, specifically as the budget submissions are being looked at from the departments and being reviewed before July. And so I'm just curious to hear if those are thoughts that the county has. And I also, like Nathaniel and Zalam, wanted to highlight some of the needs that were elevated during last year's budget hearing and ask for more investment in social services, and think through alternatives to incarceration, as well as unarmed emergency responders, especially for mental health crises. Thank you.
Thank you, Yanelis. As far as additional participations through the Thrive 305, we do have, what I could do is have staff communicate to you through the contact information that you've provided, to provide that information. And I also think my director may have remarks regarding that and your other questions that you had.
I just wanted to make sure that if there's someone here that has the, we did ask a representative from Thrive 305 if they're there. But if not, we encourage that you go to the Thrive 305. Why don't you take the survey and you know, put your information there. You will be notified of the process and what the, you know, what the steps are. But someone will reach out with those details. But thank you very much for asking the question, and we will get back to you with the details. Thank you.
Okay, I have the next speaker as Zinzi Bailey. Zinzi Bailey, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the record. Zinzi.
Hi there, Zinzi Bailey, 5906 Southwest 66th Street, South Miami, Florida, 33143. I am concerned about a number of different things. I echo a lot of what has been said already about emphasis and prioritization of roots of you know, public safety issues as opposed to enforcement. You know, pursuing alternatives to incarceration rather than funding new jails, et cetera. My questions include, is there going to be an explicit equity focus for each one of these kind of planning groups and within the plan of each of these strategic areas? Is there also, when you define less flexible funding, does that mean that it can't be changed? Or is there, what is that level of flexibility? What is a little flexibility? And number three, the 87th Avenue Bridge needs to happen and has been recommended for 40 years. And it needs to be able to have a more complete traffic grid, which the traffic in Miami-Dade County is abysmal.
Okay, Zinzi, to address your questions regarding the 87th Avenue Bridge, that will be taken into consideration, and we'll have staff look into that. I think your other question regarding, oh God, I just forgot, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
David.
She had
there was a lot of things there.
Yeah, several questions there. I think she mentioned, let me see, the 87th Avenue Bridge, which we discussed previously. The additional funding as far as less flexible funding, that's what she asked. So to answer your question, the flexibility, if what we're referring to as less flexible is that funding that is not basically mandated by state legislation or federal legislation, but although it may fund vital services such as the community business organizations that the previous person was asking about, it is flexible enough to where the board can change it without any impact to a direct service or requirement that's by state or federal mandate. So those considerations are taken when the mayor proposes her budget and the board adopts the budget and considers it. So it's less flexible than the more flexible funding. So it's flexible enough to make adjustments and explain to everyone involved as to what those adjustments mean as related to service. In the case of police, it may mean response time or other indicators that we basically lay out in the proposed budget in detail. But thank you for your question.
Yes. Next speaker, Ruth Gomez. Ruth Gomez, please state your name and address for the record. Ruth Gomez.
John, Ruth has an older version of Zoom.
Oh, sorry, Ruth. We cannot. If you could upgrade, we need to upgrade your Zoom app to the latest version in order to participate. I apologize for that, but that's a prerequisite that is required to talk. So I'm going to go to the next person. Laquette Paget. Please unmute your mic and state your name and record for the name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Laquette Paget. Address is 20730 Southwest 119 Court, Miami, Florida 33177, District 9. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay, sorry. So in the area of District 9, there seems to be what I call there's no clear pathway to resources. A lot of times the information and the resources that are being put out in order to enhance the community are not reaching anyone because there's such a disconnect in how it's being put out. We're very aware that in this pandemic, it's been found that a lot of people don't have access to computers and things like that. And the information is not being distributed or it's just not being given. And I have to be transparent and honest, it's not reaching to, in my opinion, a certain culture. It's not reaching the Black community. And the unfortunate part of this is, this has been an issue and concern for a while for me. And as much as Dade County and the community leaders have these Zoom meetings, as we're having today, a budget meeting, and I heard you mention.
Okay, Laquette, you came up on your minute. Thank you for calling in. I hear your concerns and about equity and fairness in this budget process and resources not reaching your community or the community that you of District 9. Those things we will definitely take. We will deliberate on and definitely consider. That is definitely not something that we want to make sure that those things are addressed as part of this year's budget process. That's why the mayor has made an initiative to solicit this input and have opened up these meetings in the beginning, as well as all the other activities and initiatives that she's sponsored, again, to get as much input from every member of this community, every member of the county. No one should definitely feel left behind, especially during these trying times. So message heard. I don't know, David, if you want to provide additional input to that.
I just wanted to mention that in the mayor's office, there has been the establishment of the Office of Equity and Inclusion. So that is on the mayor's list of priorities. We will be taking this information, these questions and comments to her. So duly noted, and thank you for your comments.
Okay, right now, all the speakers who have signed up have been given they've been afforded their time. I don't have any other hands raised. Oh, hold on, got one person just raised their hand. Please, if you are on the line, raise your hand so I could call you out. I have now Kenneth Kilpatrick. Kenneth Kilpatrick, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Ken Kilpatrick, 5167 Northwest 29 Avenue, Executive Director of the Alternative Programs and President of Brownsville Civic Neighborhood Association. I'd like to encourage additional funding for the alternative programs, which provides no cash bail alternatives to incarceration for nonviolent offenders throughout Miami-Dade County. So TAP is a very important partner in alleviating jail overcrowding, and we are one of the oldest pretrial release alternatives for low-income and indigent offenders in the state and perhaps the country. We believe that a robust investment is appropriate, through this process. And finally, for Brownsville Civic Neighborhood Association, we are encouraging an investment in the Lincoln Memorial Cemetery, which is one of the most prestigious and historic African-American monuments probably in the state of Florida as well. And we're looking forward to, again, an investment in that cemetery so that it can be rehabbed properly, sustained, and maintained into the future.
Ken, thank you for your input. We will definitely put in consideration or into the priorities that are being set, or your request for additional funding for the alternative program and additional funding to enhance and provide more repairs for the Lincoln Memorial Cemetery. Thank you again for your input. The next speaker I have is Leandro de Armas. Leandro de Armas, please unmute your mic, state your name and address for the record.
Leandro de Armas. I live at 18766 Southwest 78th Court, Cutler Bay, Florida 33157. I'd like to propose that Miami-Dade County begins working with the Solar and Energy Loan Fund, a nonprofit organization providing loans, project management, and illicit approved contractors for home improvement projects, and as well as invest in their own energy efficiency programs in order to improve energy efficiency, water conservation, and storm preparedness in residential and low-income homes, as well as provide them with safer financing options for such improvements. Low-income households' energy burden is 3 times higher than their more affluent counterparts, meaning that investments in and collaborations with energy efficiency programs will improve residents' quality of life and give them greater financial freedom by reducing their energy costs. Aside from these social benefits, energy efficiency programs will additionally improve low-income neighborhoods' inadequate extreme weather preparedness, which must be prioritized given Miami-Dade is a frontline community facing the ever-worsening climate crisis. Thank you for your time and consideration of all our requests.
Leandro, thank you for providing that information and your request to have some funding available or identified for the solar energy program. We will definitely take that into consideration as we put together and develop the budget for next year. I'm looking at the screen. Is there anybody else who hasn't spoken? Please raise your hand so that I could call you out. Okay, I have Carla Reyes. Carlos Reyes, please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record. Carla Reyes. Looks like Carla, if you're still there. Going once.
She's not there anymore, Tom.
Okay. Do I have anyone else who has not spoken tonight that wants to speak? Please do so by raising your hand. Okay, I got Carla Reyes. Oh no, she keeps popping. Hello, Carla, are you there?
Hello, yeah, I'm here. I wasn't able to unmute earlier.
Okay, no problem. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Carla Reyes. My address is 600 Northeast 34th Street. I am advocating support for affordable housing and rent relief that allows for rent forgiveness in the budget, as well as support for services like TAPS that can provide housing for the houseless and returning citizens who need housing. I want to uplift that this is crucial when we need to shelter in place. And I have a couple questions specifically around Thrive 305. I want to know who the team is working with the Thrive 305 survey. Are they members of the Board of the County Commissioners? And what is their role once the budget is proposed? Thank you.
Hey, Carla, thank you for your comments. And like I stated before, we will take your into consideration as part of this year's budget development deliberations, your request for rent relief program and affordable housing. David, I don't know if you have additional information to provide regarding rent relief and also the Thrive 305 initiative.
I just wanted to mention again that there is a rental assistance program that the county received approximately $60 million for that initiative. And there is a link to the ERAP rental assistance program online. It's managed by the Public Housing Community Development Department. So you know, that is available. And also regarding 305, there is no member of the board that's identified as part of the initiative, but we will be taking all the information collected to the board ultimately in one form or another to be considered. And of course, the mayor will disseminate that information, and will, after digesting all the surveys and everything else, the activities involved that are included in Thrive 305. But if there's no one else, is there any other speakers, John?
I have no other speakers right now who want to speak. So, like I stated before, all the questions that this meeting has been recorded, and we do have note takers. All questions asked that were not addressed by myself or Mr. Clodfelter, we will definitely have county staff reach out to those individuals. And I want to thank everyone for participating in this year's process. There's another meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. and on Thursday, a meeting at 9 a.m. To, again, solicit more. Oh, hold on. My bad. I've just been told that Ruth, I guess, has updated her Zoom. So Ruth, if you can please unmute your mic and state your name and address for the record.
All right, hello. Finally, thank you so much. I was able to make it in really quick. I know we're trying to get off. Are you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you, Ruth. Please.
Awesome. Okay, really quick, I just wanted to
Sorry,
mention,
Ruth. Name and address.
Okay, my name is Ruth Gomez, and I live at 10545 Northwest 28th Avenue. My question is for the firefighters. They're currently at the public schools, and they are there part of the day as far with this abnormal COVID-19. I would like to see, in order for to get us back safely, for them to be on board to the schools full time. And the reason why I say this is because the students at different schools, there have been different clusters. There have been many misinformation, and I think it's time that we tighten up the loose ends. And so having firefighters there would help. The other thing too is currently University of Miami has their mobile buses going out to several different high schools to test the kids. But could the schools get support from the city on having maybe these sites until that, we can kind of decrease the clusters among our students? There's another article that came out that Georgia.
Okay, Ruth, thank you for your call. And as far as your question about firefighters full-time on board for onto school system and your UM, and additionally the UM bus for testing, those are things that we will take into consideration and talk and include or deliberate as we put together our budget. I think that concludes. Definitely that concludes those speakers that have raised their hands. So I will go ahead and start with before what I said before. I want to first thank everyone for participating. It's very important that your voices are included, and this is an initiative again that the mayor has put together to again solicit and get your input and set the priorities for the proposed budget that she will be formally submitting to the board sometime in July. With that said, again, thank you. I appreciate the help, and it's an honor providing this information to everybody. And that's all for now. Thank you again. We're done with the meeting.